Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are back for another episode of the Buckeye Roast. It's your boy Ron James here with my guy QP Ski. Q, how you doing?
Yeah, tired, but we here. We here and we active.
Yeah, man. The Buckeyes, no matchup in the Big Ten championship, so we took a little hiatus, not much to talk about, but we're back with portal news, playoff news, and all kinds of things to talk about around the Buckeyes. Q, how was your little six or week off from the show because the Buckeyes stink and don't play in the Big Ten
Not
championship?
easy. As I reset my camera real quick, but it wasn't bad at all. Just a weekend of college football, hit my parlay, so I guess I can't complain.
I have to ask because my buddy called me yesterday and he's like, how much football did you watch on Saturday? And I said, not much. I watched the Georgia game and I like half a pizza during the game and fell asleep and did not watch any Penn State or Oregon until the next day. How much college football did you enjoy on Saturday, or did you sit out the college football festivities? I kind of woke up Saturday morning like I can't believe we've been through a whole season. I feel like that's like oh wow, the season is come and gone already. You're looking back and you're reflecting on it, and it's like, wow, we've really played 12 games already.
Yeah, I mean, well, I caught a bunch of college football Saturday because I got roped in. Of course, my friends wanted to go to Tempe because Arizona State was playing in the conference championship. So
Oh, you got roped into going down to Arizona State. I'm sure they had to twist
yeah,
your arm to get you there. Like, oh no, all those beautiful women, all that great weather. I don't want to be anywhere near it.
it sounded good until like we went out Friday night, and then it's like the game starts at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's like, why? So get down there, watch the game. Of course, Arizona State absolutely blew out Iowa State. It wasn't that close, but from there, I hit Pat on the line. I was like, Pat, parlays are we doing today? He gives me the line, so I took Georgia money line. I took Oregon -5, and I took Clemson money line. It was 30 to win 300. So that one did hit, and I had to watch college football all the way through to see that one. So, and Clemson, dear God, nearly gave me a heart attack at the end, but we got it done. So successful college football Saturday on both ends.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed your college football Saturday. We got some housekeeping to get to. Shout out to our guy Dylan, first one in the chat. Shout out to our guy Charles for being a member. Um, Make sure, Q, where we at with the audio? We good there?
No, not good there. I owe audio to who's ever listening to audio. It's coming. So I'm gonna make a note today. It will be up by tomorrow, but audio's got to get there. But we are audio, so don't forget that. If you can't watch it live or watch it visually, you can always hear us audioly, if that's a word. So we'll get that updated today to make sure. I promised that in the
All
last
right, Dr. Seuss, what do we got on the schedule today?
Audioly, that's a new thing. Oh man, I got a couple things here as we get going. So a little bit of recruiting news, obviously, and then wrapping up. And we got a playoff matchups. We got to talk about that. So I will start here. Before I do that, make sure we like the video. Go to retweet if you see this on Twitter. Like and retweet also in the community. Make sure you do that. Help us out. That'll be greatly appreciated. And if you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like button. All right, let's jump into it. So Ron, we have finally got past this recruiting season. I know I can imagine being a coach because as just fans and people who follow recruiting, I'm exhausted. I'm ready to be over with it. But Ohio State officially finishes fifth. The last pendulum dropped. Oregon passes Ohio State and finishes fourth because they were able to flip Naheem Alford. So that finally happened. Wanted to ask you as we just put the button on that. Are you satisfied with the overall class from Ohio State this cycle?
Yes. I mean, it's a top five class. You would have liked to hold on to Naeem Offord. You would have liked to see a few more bodies in the offensive line room, but I mean, with all the people you see entering the transfer portal, it looks like the Buckeyes are going to be active this portal cycle. So seeing them not have the top overall class really doesn't faze me, because I think the days of chasing the number one overall recruiting class are gone, because even if you sign that many kids, you're not all going to play. You're going to have kids transfer out. So why even stack all of those numbers? Get the kids that you need and then backfill, and then there's less feelings to hurt when you do enter the portal.
Yeah, I agree. I think this was a pretty solid Ohio class as far as in-state prospects. I would say I probably wouldn't use the satisfied word. I mean, obviously the offensive line, you don't get enough bodies, and there were some really good Ohio prospects that we missed out on, but it's nothing I say that you can't really replace. I mean, I'm just a little probably dissatisfied with the offense and defensive line. But outside of that, I mean, like you said, you can go in the portal, you can replace guys, and obviously move on. So like, it's never really anymore where you're just like, all right, we're screwed. It's like, you can always, buy your way out of it. So definitely we can do that. So moving with that, you talked about the portal. Big portal wish list that you can have. So I want to ask you, what's your portal wish list going in? As we seem like we have a lot of plug and plays to fill going into this cycle.
Have you ever seen that video of Michael Jackson shopping for art? And he just walking around with a crew behind him in the store, and they just write down what he points at, and that's what he buys. And he just walks around and goes, I like this, I like that, I like this. That's me in the portal, man. Give me every offensive lineman. Give me every edge rusher. Give me anyone that wants to join this team. An experienced running back. A quarterback. Like, I will take everything they have to offer in this in this transfer portal. I saw J Book put out a tweet yesterday that the Buckeyes have already contacted 6 transfer offensive linemen. And I would not be opposed, and I mean this with all sincerity, if the Buckeyes went out and got 8 offensive linemen in the transfer portal. That wouldn't be out of the question to me. Like, they need depth. They need starters. I would argue that they need 5 starters.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that. Juck put out a really good video, I believe it was on Saturday, talking about how we got here with Justin Fry and Ryan Day and that major and breakdown. And it was just like, man, we are really at the point where it's like, yeah, every offensive lineman that goes into the portal, we're kind of desperate. Like, yeah, we need you here. We need enough talent so we can have a competitive offensive line group in the spring and have a solid one going into next season. Luckily enough, now you can kind of go out and get that if need be. But I'm kind of with you. I mean, all over the place. You look at pass rushers, you probably need that there. You don't have enough defensive ends. You look at offensive line, you probably need like 3 starters at minimum. Even like at maximum, it's like you need them at minimum.
When you said 3, I thought you were going to say they need at minimum 3 kickers. Our guy, Buck Guy 1, knows the show better than we do. I didn't even bring up kicker. I mean, with all of the praying that has went on in Columbus this year, if we can't land Jesus out of the portal, that kicker named Jesus that just entered the portal, he needs to be a Buckeye at this point. Show him all the videos of our team, how much we pray, all of that stuff. And if you can't lure Jesus to the portal, I don't know what we're doing in Columbus.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad you didn't watch the Clemson game live, because you probably came in here even more heated.
Oh, 56-yard field goal. I fucking heard about it.
Right as the buzzer. I was so happy and so disappointed at the same time. I'm like, my parlay hit, but we can't do that. Like, it was a thing of beauty. So yeah, you gotta get kicker. There's a lot of positions around, but I think this is going to be a massive, like I said, this is the portal where everybody's like, I need to go out and get paid. There will be a massive auction of players in the portal, and you can definitely get that done. So all over the place there. Unfortunately, we're talking about bringing guys in. Some guys left, including Devin Brown, who was on the cover of the show. So Devin Brown finally hits the portal, which at this point he really had no choice but to hit the portal. But one, I want to give your reaction to Devin Brown hitting the portal. And then I want to ask you, who leads this offense in 2025 now that Devin Brown is out the door?
a couple things. Devin Brown technically not out of the door, still with the Buckeyes, still practicing. Noted when he entered the transfer portal that he will be remaining with the Buckeyes throughout their playoff run. So while he did enter his name in the portal, Devin Brown still with the Buckeyes currently. Disappointing to see. I mean, a guy that we've rooted for a long time, a guy that stuck around and battled and did everything that you asked of a Buckeye. I mean, even down to the last time you saw Devin Brown on the field, still, you know what I mean, hype in the Michigan game, getting the crowd into things, and a guy that has been committed to this program. So, I mean, it's sad to see, but I think another team's going to get a really good quarterback, and I'm excited to see Devin get his opportunity.
Yeah, never quite got the, I guess, the current caller, maybe the opportunity that some people who are fans of him wanted, but he's stuck around. He's done everything right that you can ask for. I mean, you can ask for much more. I don't know. I don't know where all the hate has come from all this time, but
I do. Let's get into it. I'm going to actually stop you right there because it's just time to have this conversation that a lot of people don't want to talk about, and it's kind of pathetic that a lot of this fan base has used Devin Brown as a proxy for their hate for Zach Smith, Chris Drew, Menace to Sports, Best Damn Media, Ron, Q, Cam. Literally everybody that does not like us, them, Chris, Zach, Menace has used Devin Brown as a proxy to funnel their hate through this player, through this Buckeye, through this kid, and he has received so much criticism, so much hate, so much vitriol from this fan base for a guy who has never negatively impacted the Buckeyes in any way. Everybody said he was so terrible, he didn't play, he shouldn't play ahead of Kyle. They let Kyle go out there and ruin last year's season. Didn't win the job again this year. Let Will Howard go 10-2. Devin Brown has never lost us a game as a Buckeye, yet the vitriol that he receives from this fan base is fucking pathetic.
I mean, you said it all there. I mean, I have to agree. I don't understand why a player necessarily would get hate because
it all comes down to it all goes back to when Menace to Sports said that Devin Brown was going to be the starting quarterback because Ryan Day named him the starter and then got cold feet after naming him the starter, which Ryan Day came out a year later and said was true. So after all of the hate that Menace got, Devin Brown got, Chris, Zach, all of them for saying that Devin Brown was a starter, Ryan Day comes out on the exact day that Zach Smith said it, to the day Ryan Day said in his press conference this year. This time last year, Devin Brown was the starter in my mind. So if you go back and you compare the date that Ryan Day said this time last year, and then the date that Zach said Devin Brown's the starter at Ohio State, they line up exactly because they knew that Ryan Day was naming Devin Brown the starter, and then Ryan Day got cold feet, and the rest of the fan base decided, you know what? Zach Smith supports this guy. I fucking hate him. And he's still living with that to this day, and it's ridiculous.
I mean, it is. I mean, we had Pat on here right after, and he talked about it a little bit as well. I mean, I thought it's been absurd. I've never been one to cheer against a guy who's on my own team, especially when I need to rely on him at times to win.
I rooted for number 17, and I'm not talking about Mitchell Melton. And the way that they have treated Devin Brown after people have committed war crimes against the Buckeyes with their play on the field, and the fact that a guy that is given everything to this program has been a Buckeye through and through, and even till the end is staying with the Buckeyes through the season after everybody says they don't want him here, so you can't blame him for going to the portal. And he still stays true despite all of the bullshit that he's received from this fan base. It's honestly, I mean, hats off. You know, we don't do that around here. Hats stay on around here, but a tip of the cap to Devin Brown.
Let's say hats on. Yeah, the kid's staying behind, so hopefully, I still hope he gets his curtain call. I really feel like we were robbed a couple Saturdays ago of actually seeing him get his shot finally in a game that matters, and seeing him go out there and try to get a dub for the squad. But you know, hats off to him, and let's hope he gets a chance going forward. Look forward to see him play at his next destination.
Predictions or places that you would like to see Devin Brown land?
I mean, hell, if Kyle went and go play at Syracuse, I mean, he should be able to go play at another, I guess, Power Four team and a decent team, and try to go and turn the program around. There's so many teams that need quarterbacks year after year that there'll be plenty of opportunities. I don't necessarily know about Syracuse. I know a lot of people say, "Hey, go follow Kyle." I mean, I wouldn't necessarily do that, even though I think
I would.
like
Shout out to
Fran
Brown. Go to look. Yesterday, I was on the phone with Chris, and I said, "Man, me and Chris have been going through this exercise for about a month and a half now of just scouring former recruiting rankings, the current FBS stats to find the next sleeper quarterback that everybody's going to fall in love with, like a Cam Ward or Will Howard." In the transfer portal, and I'm going through and I'm looking through, FBS passing leaders, and I'm looking at the first name that's leading college football in passing, and I'm like, Kyle McCord, 4,200 yards. Buckeyes should have recruited that guy. Led the NCAA in passing, and it's like, nope, not a Buckeye anymore. And you're just looking around the names, and you hope Devin Brown can have that type of success. Some schools that I've heard floated around Devin Brown, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Utah, a few to keep an eye on, potentially maybe Miami. You just saw Dylan Raiola's name associated with him. I'm sure he's going to have no shortage of suitors. So it'll be interesting to watch. And I'm excited because it'll be fun to watch another Buckeye quarterback. I mean, I don't know about let us know in the chat. What was your guys' viewing experience watching Kyle this past year? I watched a lot of Kyle McCord on Thursday night this season and Friday games. I watched more Syracuse football this past season. It's probably since Greg Paulus left Duke to go play quarterback at Syracuse again. So it's been a while since I watched this much Syracuse football, but I plan to probably watch as much Devin Brown, if not more, as I watched Kyle McCord this year. What was your viewing experience with Kyle McCord this year, and will you be watching Devin Brown next year?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun to watch Kyle play, obviously, go out there and really air it out, kind of a different Kyle than we got, and to see him having fun playing ball. I mean, it's a good experience. I mean, I'm not hating the guy just because he didn't have the greatest season of us. I wanted to go out there and obviously ball out, and I think he did that to the best of his ability. Like I said, threw for a ton of yards, was exciting to watch, and looked like he really had fun balling out there. So I love to see that. So another place for Devin Brown might be down the street, Arizona State. His program's up on the rise. I'm sure they can use a high-touted prospect to lead that offense. We've seen even what's his name that was playing there. I can't remember the quarterback's name. I'll get it.
Where at
Arizona State. He was the backup though, the one that the Georgia Tech quarterback. No. The Georgia Tech quarterback, the one that Chris was a big fan of. That
Haynes King?
Huh?
Haynes King?
No, not Haynes King.
Jeff Sims.
Jeff Sims, there you go. Even Jeff Sims, one of Georgia Tech quarterbacks. So even he was there. So it wouldn't be a bad spot to start. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him play at his next destination. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, you and the Browns can link up down in Arizona if he ends up at Arizona State. Devin Brown playing 3 years of high school football in Arizona before going to Utah, so that's also somewhere to keep an eye on. I'm looking at the show notes. As far as portal, do we have anything else from the portal that you're keeping an eye on?
Yeah, like I said, we'll wait a week. We see what moves they make. I mean, obviously, we just talked about it. They have a ton of things they can go after. A lot of guys hitting the portal. I'm waiting out to see if there's any big names. We usually get in here and there'll be a guy and it'll be like, well, we don't need this position, but this guy just went in the portal. So what are we gonna do? So I'm waiting for those names to drop. But like you said, a ton of linemen. Definitely Ohio State needs to get to it. I want to see if they are able to maintain this portal aggressiveness that they had last year, because I'm not gonna lie, I had no faith before last season for Ohio State in the portal in the spring and winter. They're like, oh, we'll finally go out and be aggressive. So hopefully they continue that, because that'll tell me the trajectory of the program. And if it's a one-time thing, or we're going to do this year after year and actually utilize the portal to the best of its ability.
Two portal questions before we get out of here. If you had to bet, do the Buckeyes go after a transfer quarterback?
Yes.
And then the other question would be, do the Buckeyes get another Caleb Downs, not a safety, just someone that caliber, objectively one of the best 20 players in college football that enter the portal. Do the Buckeyes find someone that type of caliber in the transfer portal this season?
I would say no. I think the depth of need this time around is more last time. I mean, finding 3 starting linemen is gonna cost you. Finding a pass rusher who's even solid, I mean, I don't know if they'll have the money to go after an elite pass rusher, but going after somebody who can go make an impact, I think is important. You have to go get a kicker. I think they're gonna have to spread money so around that I don't know if they'll have the luxury of being like, "Oh, this guy, we can go and throw a bunch of money at him," and then look around like, "Oh, wait, we need 6 more tackles." So I would say I don't think we'll get that luxury of a guy, but I think by committee, definitely with the spending it'll work better for us in the long run because we always have the star power.
I wanted to pivot a little bit. There are 270 people watching. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're on Twitter, make sure you go ahead and retweet the show. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button. I did have a little bit of Big Ten news before we pivot to playoff talk. I'm looking. It looks like the Maryland Terrapins lost in basketball last night, 83-78. I just wanted to give that score update while we were on the show. I don't know if there's any Maryland basketball fans that watch here, but just wanted to make sure I gave that Big Ten update before we move on.
Yeah, the Big Ten came out and said the game last night was rigged. They are firing all officials.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, that cost Maryland the game. So you know how that goes. But it's been
I don't know who you guys
so
root for out there, but I know the team that I root for beat the number 2 team in the country in basketball since we've been gone. But shout out to whoever y'all root for in basketball, and shout out to the Steelers, man. Shout out to the Steelers.
Broken clock is right twice a day,
or at least once a season. Shout out to the Browns, 1 win against the Steelers. Mike Tomlin, 19-0 in the regular season.
But moving on from that. I did want to ask, obviously, we got to talk through the scale of the Big Ten before we hop into some quick playoff talk. Oregon wins the Big Ten over Penn State. We did see that Saturday. Ohio State has now gone 4 seasons without a conference title. We talked about Oregon a little earlier. They topped Ohio State in recruiting despite having less guys in their class. We know what they do in the portal. They have almost what it seems like a limited bank account to go out and get guys, and they recruit them. They close. They get it done. Do you fear Ohio State is falling a little bit behind Oregon in the rising momentum they have?
Yeah. I mean, we haven't played for you hit the nail on the head. We haven't played for the Big Ten championship in 4 years. They come into the conference and win it year 1. I mean, it feels like we're getting further and further away from our goals. I mean, the Buckeyes said that they want to win the Big Ten, finished 4th. Like, I don't know how you argue that. I don't know how you could possibly argue that Oregon isn't passing the Buckeyes. In what state they finished with a higher recruiting class? Yes.
Yeah, despite having less players,
more wins,
quality per prospect.
They finished with more wins. They beat us on the field. I see our guy Goj in the chat saying absolutely not, or maybe he's responding to someone else. What is the argument that Oregon hasn't passed the Buckeyes? They've won the last 2 matchups against the Buckeyes. They've won a Big Ten championship more recently. They're the number 1 seed in the playoffs. What is the argument?
I would say one. I mean, it has to stay consistent. Obviously, like we've seen teams win, and obviously Michigan won 3 times in a row. But we see teams win, a Big Ten, and then they fall. It feels like Oregon is doing things right on and off the field around the program to the point where this does not feel like Oregon won it this year, but they just put together their best team ever. This feels like it's going to be like a constant thing going forward of like, oh, well, they had Dylan Gabriel. Well, no, they got another quarterback that was a 5-star out the portal last season, so they can reload there. They also got another 5-star walking in the program at quarterback next season. Their recruiting class, like the talent is there. They're recruiting well, and we know they haven't even hit the portal yet. So we know how well they do that because everybody talked about the 20 million roster last season. Oregon, despite was bar to bar with anybody as far as the best portal class coming in. And then we saw that directly represented on the field. It wasn't a bunch of misses. The guys that got in the portal, we were right into like, oh, Aaron Harmon, that name sounds familiar. Oh, yeah, they acquired him 3 months ago. He's an absolute monster on the defensive line. So it just feels like they're at a higher efficiency level than Ohio State right now if they're beating them on the field despite this best roster ever, which I don't know if I exactly buy all that. But, I mean, heck, it doesn't feel like they're slowing down.
Man, best roster ever. I mean, Tressel and Urban Meyer were out here telling crazier preseason lies than your boy Ron, and that is a stretch to say the least.
I know we hate Kurt Herbstreit, but I was more the Kurt Herbstreit line of like, I mean, this is Ohio State's roster more so year in, year out. You sprinkle like a Caleb Downs in there, we usually don't have, but besides that, it's Ohio State. Like, that's what the roster should look like.
Worst preseason lie. Ohio State has the greatest roster in college football of all time, or Mike Norvell's a good football coach.
Since Mike Norvell tore down the flag, it definitely was Ohio State's roster. He made it. He made it up.
I got to get to this comment. Nobody in the Woody believes Oregon is the giant YouTubers are making them out to be. Was there yesterday and will there be today? Look, I don't care what YouTubers say. I don't care what they think in the Woody. Go fucking beat them. That's like getting your ass beat by someone and then going home, then talking to your girl with a black eye and be like, that nigga can't even fight though. Like, he just beat your ass, bro. Sit this one out. Like, even if we are better than them, we got to shut the fuck up until we beat them. Like, what are we? We're walking around with a black eye talking about niggas can't fight.
I slipped a little bit. There was a wet floor sign. Yeah, you got lucky.
Yeah,
I mean, we've been talking about. Look, we said this at the beginning of the year, and I asked how important was it for Ohio State when they went to play Oregon for momentum reasons to go beat them, and obviously we didn't get that done. And in Ohio State, trajectory kind of went down from there, and Oregon's trajectory kind of went up. Their recruiting class built on each other. They're getting top prospects out of Ohio. Like, it's officially a problem. And like Michigan obviously has been there the last couple seasons, but this is going to be another Big Ten, I don't call them rival because they're not a rival, but a Big Ten issue going forward of, can Ohio State year in, year out get that dominance that we had the years before? And it's not going to be as easy as it was before. And I expect Oregon year in and year out to be up there as fuck. We got to win a hard game against them. And it doesn't look like the momentum is slowing down there. So it's just going to be tough year in, year out. I believe they are standing across from Ohio State right now. They're not trying to catch them. They're not climbing up. I believe they firmly stand in the same place. And if Ohio State does not handle things properly in the coming year or so, could pass them.
Yeah, man. We'll see where it goes. We got a playoff bracket to get to before we get out of here. The Buckeyes, the ace seed. Much has been made about the playoff seeding. I guess we'll start there. Do you think they need to do away with these automatic bids? You end up with Boise State at 3, Arizona at 4. They're talking about it in the chat now. Punk asked, how was Oregon not rewarded for the win against Penn State? I mean, they beat Penn State, and it looks like they ended up with the harder path. They're playing the winners of Tennessee, Ohio State, where Penn State, their first 2 games could end up being SMU, Boise State.
Yeah, they definitely have, and this was the whole conversation right after this was revealed. It helped Penn State to lose the Big Ten championship more than ride that path, because it looks like if they take care of business, and if we get to see that team on Saturday, which Penn State played really well, a lot better than I thought. I was like, oh, they're going to blow them out, and they didn't. So if they were going to play like that, I firmly expect them to see them against Georgia. Or whoever right there in the semi. So they were definitely blessed. I think they got to do away with that. That's way too. I kind of agree. You should be able to, once you get that bye, kind of pick where you're at and say, hey, if I'm the first seed, I want this side right here. I'll take that opponent first and kind of choose your path, because Oregon was not rewarded. I mean, to go back against Ohio State, who we know maybe hasn't been consistent down the stretch, but has the ability to beat Oregon because they've shown it with a 1-point loss, on the road that they can get it done. So they can look at them. Then they got Texas right there on the other side. I mean, it's a tough road for Oregon, who's the number one team in the nation, as much as it is for anybody.
You hit the nail on the head there. I mean, they easily have the most difficult path. Like you look around at this, and it's like, what was the point? You could have sat out the Big Ten championship, or you could have lost. Like I just lost. You lost all of these things, and you'd probably ended up with a better path. And they get rewarded with the toughest path. But let's pivot to the Buckeyes real quick. Thoughts on this Tennessee matchup? We're going to dive into it more tomorrow. How confident are you going into Ohio State, Tennessee?
Yeah, looking forward. I think Tennessee's a really good team. I do think it's a solid matchup from Ohio State, especially at home at night. You have the weather, which guys are used to, and Tennessee's going to have to travel up. So that should affect it a little bit. But, I mean, I feel like Ohio State has a good chance in this ball game. Now, obviously, Tennessee is built with pass rushers. So at tackle, I don't know what Ohio State is going to switch up going forward. I mean, I don't know why we're switching up, because I don't know if there's any kind of better options of offensive line we can really put together at this point, but we will see what they do. But I do think that defensive line can trouble Ohio State a little bit. But I mean, I expect this to be a solid game. I mean, styles kind of make fights here. Tennessee has a really good rushing attack. I don't think we'll have trouble with their wide receivers. I think we'll be okay. But I think Nico is talented and can make some plays. But I think this is favorable. This is favorable for Ohio State here. So I think that's a good matchup, and I think we're going to get the rematch coming soon.
Yeah, I think the Buckeyes are going to be able to handle this team. We're going to dive into it more. Maybe we can get a Tennessee person on here to talk more about this game. The one statement that I think about every time I think about this Tennessee matchup is everybody on the timeline saying this year, people who think Nico is good don't watch Tennessee. And I do think Nico is good, and I also don't watch much of Tennessee. So I'm going to have to dive more into Tennessee. I mean, I'm still the most of Nico. The idea of Nico that I have in my mind is still him playing 7-on-7 back when he was, competing for national championships in pajamas and sunglasses. So Nico at Tennessee, I'm going to have to watch the tape more. I do think he does possess that level of talent that, regardless of what he's put on film this year, he is talented enough that if he puts together one game, it is enough that he can challenge this Buckeye team. So that is my one worry, but I do think Jim Knowles is going to be able to cause confusion with Nico, and hopefully the Buckeyes are able to handle business in Columbus in round one of the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Nico's talented. It hasn't been the most consistent. But I mean, he's a young quarterback. He has time. I just feel like that Tennessee running game is going to challenge Ohio State a lot to where it can open up some things. Like you said, Nico's talented. He can make big time throws. He hasn't done it, every down where you're like, oh, shit, this immediately scares me. But if Ohio State commits to the run, I mean, he can exploit that. So we will see. I mean, that's more that running attack, stopping that, especially when you see the film from last week and the linebackers kind of get out, especially Sonny Styles getting out his gap a little bit. That does trouble us, I believe. And then just on the other side, I mean, how the whole season I've talked about James Pierce, and we don't got a tackle. So it's a little bit scary. They are built to rush the passer over there in Tennessee. So hopefully we can early and establish the run and kind of maybe loosen up those pass rushers. But if they get to pin their ears back and go after Will Howard, it might be a long night here. So I think it's a good matchup. It's fun for college football. So we will see. But I'm looking forward to it. We'll dive into it more. But that's my early impressions.
Well, Q, it's been 5 days since the last time we did a show. We are officially back. It is my favorite time of year where Buckeye fans are so angry that people that have watched the show for 3 years call us nerd-ass niggas because they're mad at us that our team fucking stinks. Glad to be here for you guys. If you want to fucking be mad at us, go yell at the fucking team. I don't play for them. So if you're pissy, don't fucking come and watch the show and be mad at me. This team fucking stinks. Go put it on the timeline. Go yell at fucking Ryan Day. This is exactly why we take breaks after this team loses, because you motherfuckers don't know how to fucking act. Go be mad at them. I don't fucking play for this team.
Is there a time in the season where we always get called nerd ass?
Yeah, when we lose,
that might be a first. I don't know if there was a time in the season for that.
Yeah, I guess when the Buckeyes start losing, bro, we're nerd ass niggas because Oregon won the Big Ten. That's my fault. It's my fault. Q, be better, you fucking loser. Get your ass out of the library.
I'm talking about Dan letting get Oregon all season. When they win the Big Ten, I'm not gonna be like, was it lucky? I was like, well, I can see that coming.
Nah, bro. It has nothing to do with not tackling a practice. It has nothing to do with our quarterback being just as mid as Kyle McCord. It has nothing to do with missing field goals. It's these two light-skinned nerd-ass niggas that talk every morning that are the reason why the Buckeyes aren't winning the Big Ten championship. So I apologize. I will do better. I'll try to stop losing Big Ten championships for the Buckeyes. So Q,
I'm part of the box score, boys.
Yeah, let the people know where you're going to try to do better at.
I'll say, I'm checking stats and box scores, so I'll give it to you straight.
Oh man, get us out of here. I'm gonna do my job since I'm losing us Big Ten championships. Let me do something I know how to do right and keep the bills paid.
Hey, nerds do get paid. That's the one good thing. Oh man, it's good to be back, man. Yeah. Hey, all that's left to do is win the natty. But yeah, hey man, appreciate everybody joining us again. If you're here on YouTube, go to like that video. There's 400 people in here, so you may not like us, but you hang out with us, which is well more important. So
yeah, exactly. Shout out to all the people that are hate watching. If you want to see me lose more Big Ten championships for Ohio State, you can follow me on Twitter at 2Ts. It's 2_TES. You can find us here weekdays for the Buckeye Roast, Monday through Friday. We are done with Bleacher Report appearances for the year, except for probably a post game for the instant reaction to the game. So no Bleacher Report for a while, no post game for a while. So it's kind of just here if you're looking for us. So keep an eye out for us on the timeline. And then, we're going to start crafting some off-season content, and just keep an eye out for us.
Yeah, we'll do. If you want to find me, it's your boy Quinn on Twitter, Flat Giles on Instagram, Minor League Films here if you're in the movies. And we'll get that audio updated today. Actually, I'll do that in a second. So that'll be good to go. So if you listen on audio, I got you. My bad. But appreciate all the members. Charles Green in here, Doreen in here. I forgot who recently joined. But shout out to you.
J8, our guy J8.
There we go, Jeanette. Yeah, there you go. So appreciate y'all. I got content coming for you soon. I absolutely promise. But that's all I got, Ron. Get us out here.
And then shout out to our guy Johnny. You will never get it done, Ron. I just can't. I can't. I'm the PJ Fleck of podcasters. Like, just can't win the Big Ten. I stink. We are the worst. Q, we have to do better. But until then, it's always go Bucks, OH, and fuck these nerd-ass podcast niggas on YouTube, apparently.
Man. We'll catch y'all tomorrow.
Yeah.